Hello everyone. You will notice on the screen a partially started painting of yet another magnolia. I want to apologize. I have no idea where the first clip of this painting went. But the rest of it is intact and you'll be able to see how I painted this. And yes, I'm doing another magnolia, and the reason for that, for painting so many different magnolias, is often when we look at a tutorial and we learn how to paint an object the way that artist is showing us how to do it, we often think in our mind that's the only way that that object can be painted. And my desire with doing so many different paintings with the same drawing is to show you that you can be creative. And it's my heart's desire that you take my magnolia drawing and experiment with it. Use watercolor pencils, use regular colored pencils, do Copic markers if you prefer. Mix it up, do some of this and some of that. In one of them I did Ferris wheel press inks. I did watercolor pencils with one, and in this one I'm doing watercolors, and it's in a larger format, so that is mixing it up a little bit. Now I do want you to stay to the end because I did something on this one that I regretted, and then I went back after it had hung on my wall for about 2 months and decided I want to change that or try to fix it. And the reason that I included me trying to fix it is that I want you to see that if something doesn't look exactly the way you wanted it to, it's not hopeless. Yeah, sometimes we can't quite fix it, but there are a lot of fixes I have discovered from mess-ups that pleased me with the final result. And so I want to encourage you, don't give up. If it is in the ugly stage, again, as I said in a previous tutorial, just keep going. You have nothing to lose by keep going. And if at the very, very end it doesn't look quite the way you wanted it to, there may be a fix for that. So what I did initially in this painting, you'll see that that magnolia has a light gray wash on the petals. And I think I used Payne's Gray, and my Payne's Gray has a very slight tint of blue to it. I wished that I had been able to do that a little bit lighter, but in the end it worked out fine. I wanted those petals to be close to white, but not the color of the background. Then once I got that gray in there, I took, I believe that was permanent rose, and I dotted it in at the base to let it flow up through there. And you'll notice in one of those petals there's sort of a purple or violet cast, and that's because the red intermingled with the Payne's Gray that has that blue tint and kind of created a little violet color. Now, as this goes, I am letting the watercolor kind of take the lead on this project. I wanted it to just burst forth and create some beautiful patterns and colors. The others I had were much more controlled, and I just wanted to experiment and let watercolor be watercolor. So after I put a undercoat on the leaves of yellow, you'll notice here that I am re-wetting this petal that was completely dry. Now I'm dropping in magenta, and look at it burst forth. I did tilt that just slightly to coax it up that petal. Then once I kind of just gently dabbed in a little bit more, I let it just do its thing. It burst forth like veins almost, and I thought that was fascinating. Now I'm going back in with some more water, and again, I do apologize. I have since changed how I film, but this particular camera kept catching my hair, focusing on that rather than the painting. But I have changed that, but since I did this one. So again, I'm wetting this petal, and then I'm going to drop in more magenta, and we're going to see it burst forth and do its thing. I love the way that that first petal just took off and feathered through. So I'm going to stop for a while and put some music on and just let you guys enjoy this painting. The leaves I've done similar to the others. I've put various greens in and made blemishes with various pigments, and then did a wash over the end, or a glaze over the end. But anyway, enjoy this project, and I appreciate you watching.
I've been walking on the same shore ever since the time I left you on the dark side with a promise and a rhyme. And everybody else around are beating down on me to leave the only good thing a disaster meant to be. Trial for every wrong I did, the courthouse would be filled with people waiting to get rid of the one that ripped their lives apart and shattered all their dreams. They lock me up forever, even throw away the keys, and I wait for the release, hoping to get my freedom back before the world has turned on everything I know. Come, you lovers, and head my way, always looking for a new day. dwelling about the past. 'Cause I know that God is good, He led me to where I'm at. Sometimes I feel like giving up, you're giving in. But everything happens for a reason. It won't always be blue skies ahead. Sometimes you might need a helping hand. Just like iron, sharpens iron, making me stronger, calling me higher. When we come together, just like iron, sharpens iron, making us stronger, calling us higher. When we're helping each other, we're growing together. It's so unnecessary worrying about life. I might not have it all, but I know I'll be alright. He's gonna challenge me to be the best I can be, and to give back to those who need it. It won't always be blue skies ahead. Sometimes you might need a helping hand. Just like iron, sharpens iron, making me stronger, calling me higher. When we come together, just like iron, sharpens iron, making us stronger, calling us higher. When we're helping each other, we're growing together. Iron, sharpening iron, making me stronger, calling me higher, calling us higher. Sharpening iron, calling me higher. Just like iron, sharpens iron.
Here I'm putting a wash of green apatite genuine over the leaves. I love that color. It's heavily granulating, and I just think it looks amazing when you're doing green botanicals. It, to me, lends a element of natural texture and color variance. Then once I did that, I dropped in some burnt umber, and now I'm going over the top of the stem. I've put water in, and I've dabbed in a little bit of burnt umber up there. And then I continue this process for the leaves and the stem to create texture. Now I'm also dropping in some dark sap green along with the burnt umber there to add some variance in the blemishes. And here I'm taking this thirsty brush, which I've dried off. It's very, very dry, just damp, and I'm running that back down where the vein of that leaf will go. On some of the others I painted up to it. This one I painted over it, and then I've gone and removed that back. it keeps it from being quite so white. And I'm even scrubbing a little bit there with the brush to get it even drier and cleaner. And it looks a little odd with those two big ovals, but it'll all come together. I'm dabbing in both burnt umber and deep sap green here in the stem, and it's I had flooded that with clear water, and it looked like there was a little bit too much water over the whole thing, and so I'm taking a dry or a damp brush and picking up a little bit of that excess. It does blur it a little, which I like. It gives it texture without looking like little blobs sitting on there. My camera shut off, so I didn't capture getting putting the wash on that petal over there, but I just took green apatite genuine, diluted down, and did a glaze over that entire leaf on the other side. And I am putting another glaze on, or wash rather, on this leaf, even though I haven't got the blemishes on it yet. I wanted to even out that color a little bit and even up the lines. Also, I wanted to paint around that vein before I put the blemishes in. All throughout this painting on the leaves and the stem, I have just continued to add one layer after another of bits of pigment, the green, the deep sap green, the apatite genuine, the deep sap green, and the burnt umber. And oftentimes I'm dabbing it on and then sapping out the moisture with the brush, and then leaving it a bit and then adding more texture. I love the layers, one after the other. It gives it a deep, rich color to me, and I enjoy doing that. The transparency of the watercolors is perfect medium to allow you to get all of the depth of color by adding layer after layer. Here I'm putting a very light wash of magenta, quinacridone magenta, on these portions of petals that have turned back. There are 3 of them, I believe, and I wanted to just give it the lightest wash of color. Again, my camera shut off before I showed putting the shadow under the edges of those turned back petals. And because I had used a very dilute Payne's gray on the lighter part of the petals, I got it in my head that I should use Payne's gray for the shadow. But it didn't look quite right, and so I decided, after having it hang on my wall for a while, that I wanted to scrub that back and make it softer. And so I have my Rosemary & Co. eradicator brush, and I'm softening those dark shadows. And that little bit of scrubbing you saw is I got water on the magenta, stuck my hand in it, and then I proceeded to spread magenta places that it didn't need to go, but it quickly came right off. So now I'm holding the paper towel there as I'm scrubbing to make that dark blue shadow less prominent, and you can see how that eradicator brush is softening it. And I probably should have stopped there, but I kept going and decided here in a little bit I would add some watercolor pencil. This is often a conundrum in watercolor, is when to stop and when to say it's good enough and don't go any further. And after I softened that, I should have just left those alone. Although in the end, the final result does look very nice, but I still felt like that blue was still too in your face and prominent. So I grabbed my watercolor pencils, and I'm getting ready to add some of that to see if I can improve it. So this is a pink, and I'm just kind of scribbling over that blue to try to meld that blue into a more pinker tone, and it does seem to help. But then I grabbed the gray again, and so because I thought I needed a little bit sharper contrast there. And so now I'm going to apply some water, because these are watercolor pencils, and it does look pretty good, and I don't think it's too much gray. I think it does add a bit of definition there between the petals. So I thought that looks okay, so I'm going to keep going. And so I did this one, and I am scribbling the pink pigment over the gray here. Now, watercolor pencils, particularly these Caran D'Ache, they're such high quality, and they are transparent, but they do have an element of opacity to some of them. So even though they do have that element of opacity, you can still see through them to the other colors. Obviously you can see the magenta through it, and you can see the gray through it. I'm really not happy with how that has that harsh line, so I'm going to keep at it until I either love it or completely mess it up. As I said, you have nothing to lose by keep going when it doesn't look good. So here I'm doing that third petal, and I'm applying the pink over the blue, and then adding water to activate it. You don't have to add water, but if you don't add water to it, and then later for whatever reason it gets damp or it gets water on it, then it will activate, and it depending on how much water it could run. So I always try to activate it. And now we're back to the problem petal there in the middle. I just am not happy with it, so I keep going. And I think I grab a primrose, which is a cream color, and I'm going to scrub it on. Yep, primrose. And so I'm taking pigment directly off the pencil and washing it on to try to soften that. And it does work. It's softening it. That petal's not the one that really bothers me. It's this one here. And so I'm scrubbing that on there, and it's helping somewhat. It doesn't have the opacity that it needs to completely eradicate it, but I don't really want that because it's watercolor, and I do like the transparency of it. So, but that did help. But I keep going until I just finally feel like I've done enough. And as it dries, it does dry much more subtle and much more soft. But to me, it looks so much better than it did originally with that harsh line. But I'm not done yet. I grab out the deep purple watercolor pencil, which is a magenta color, and I'm trying to wash some of that over to blend it down. And in order not to have a harsh line, I drag it out through the rest of the petal. And here I'm actually taking that dark plum pencil and trying to define that line just a little bit more. I used that deep plum pencil to separate the petals a little bit, to add some lines down there, and in an attempt to try to accentuate which petals were behind other petals. And I do think it looks much nicer having that defining line, a little bit of a shadow line in between those petals. And I just continue to work to soften that deep plum or magenta color until I'm happy with it. One reason I'm able to continue to work on this flower to the extent that I am is because this paper is Arches 100% cotton cold press paper, and it handles the abuse that I'm giving it with the constant scrubbing and adding water and paint, and you can't tell that it's been abused at all. And one of the reasons I love Arches is because it is such a high quality paper, and it can take the abuse, whatever you need to do to it, and it still looks beautiful. And there you have it. And I let it dry, and it looked beautiful. I put it back in the frame, and I'm so pleased with having made that change.